We see the trends and how we'll continue to move forward in an exciting way. And 10 years from now, we may not be talking about airplanes, we might be talking about rockets.
Right.
And going places that we probably didn't think we were going to go. So that's the exciting part at the end of the day. It's always changing and it never stays the same. And therefore, you don't get bored in this industry. It's impossible. And once you're in the industry, it's very hard to get out. Aviation will suck you in and you'll never get released. You're done after that.
Man, I should have checked the checklist on that one. I can't believe it. Hopefully I can put this together by the weekend. Oh, crap, you're here. Sorry about that. Thought we were having a podcast later this afternoon. Okay, well, I'm going to have to put that away. Hey, welcome to the Aviation Business Podcast. My name is Dan Gill. You're probably expecting Tim, and you're probably expecting us to do work here. Well, you know what happens when the cat's away, the mouses will play. So that's what happens. So I'm not Tim Jedrick. My name is Dan Gill. I'm kind of running the desk today for Tim. Tim's out of the office, so we're going to kind of have a little fun on this ship today. So welcome to the Aviation Business Podcast. We talk about aviation topics and business for flight schools. Today, we have a very exciting guest, Max Fuller. We'll ask him to pronounce it when he gets here. We'll actually have him on and have him introduce himself. So without further ado, Max. Okay. Yeah, Steamboy. Okay, there we go. Max, welcome to the Aviation Business Podcast.
Hey, Dan, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hey, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to chat with you and to tell you a little bit more about Wings Leasing and what we do, and we'll jump right into it. So thanks so much
thanks for coming on. First of all, kind of who are you and how did you get started in aviation? Well, I guess aviation sort of, it's leasing.
Yeah, no. So we are an aircraft leasing platform specific to the flight training industry is what Wings Leasing focuses on. Yeah. We don't touch anything that's not general aviation that can be done, flight training can be done in. So, that's our company. But going back to your question about, how I got started in aviation. It's
let me actually jump in. I'm going to preface this. We had a guest yesterday and we had this conversation. We kind of have this ongoing conversation here, not only at Right Rudder Marketing, but also in aviation in general. Aviation is something that some of us are born into, but most of us really aren't. We grew up and we want to be policemen and firefighters, doctors and nurses because we see them firsthand, but we don't really see pilots in aviation. So everyone has their kind of aviation origin story. So how were you first touched by aviation and kind of what's your origin story when it comes to it?
Yeah. So, I'm a young guy, but it goes back maybe 10 years or so. The first I can remember, I've always loved, machines, whether that's airplanes, ships, cars, motorcycles, you name it. And probably about the age of 8 or 9, I have to thank my dad for this one. And maybe he's listening to the podcast right now. I'm not sure, but he's probably smiling if he is. I grew up in Indianapolis, and FedEx has a hub in Indianapolis. And every morning, at about 5 a.m., they would have all the arrivals and departures go. And we would drive down to the airport, usually on a snowy Indiana morning, and watch these departures happen. And that's kind of where it all began. And I always thought maybe I wanted to be a pilot, but I was never really quite sure. And I think maybe like a lot of people who, are in that, 10 to 15 age range, like they're just not sure how to get their hands on aviation. It's kind of a little hidden niche industry unless you know someone directly involved in it and such. That's kind of where it began. And then in high school, I had the opportunity through a great gentleman by the name of Chad Winings, who was a sales director for the Salt Falcon. He was able to help me line up a job at a local FBO, which was huge because that kind of not reinvented, but in a sense it did get my hands back on aviation. And exactly. And that's kind of where it really took flight, quote unquote. So from there,
Yeah,
working.
yeah, I'm going to
Go
jump
ahead.
in here. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 20. I'll be
Okay.
21 here next month in June.
Well, very good. Congratulations. Yeah, I was going to have a
Thank you.
drink over here and ask you. So, what is the rule pertaining to this? But you're not there yet. So,
Not there.
we'll get that. Here, I'm not going to say how old I am, but I'm going to give you a guess.
Put me on the spot there.
This was the second version I flew. The first version was black and white.
Yep.
Put that over there. So you're 15, you come across this guy working for Dassault, and then you kind of get the bug. And then what happens after that?
Yeah, so I continue working line service with the local FBO, and going back, realizing I really knew nothing about aviation. I always dreamed about it and watched the airplanes take off and so forth, but to actually understand the airplane and the maintenance that goes into it and the operations and how the system of pilot training really works at the end of the day, that's where I got my first hands on what that actually looks like in the real world. And that was a very, eye-opening experience. And that kind of got me very involved again in the space. And then I ended up ultimately starting what I like to call formal education at Embry-Riddle, which is the terrific aviation school. It is the best in the world. I will vouch for that any day of the week.
So let me jump in here. You told me a story about Embry-Riddle the other day, and hold on a second.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember.
There you go.
Yeah, during our talk. So tell me this story. You were watching the flyby practice for the Indy 500, wasn't it? The Daytona 500.
Daytona 500. Yeah, that's an incredible experience that, and it's in February, and for maybe 2 or 3 weeks prior to the race, all you hear is the fighter jets flying over. And I mean, they're not much higher than the dorm buildings at Embry-Riddle and Daytona. And man, the floor rumbles. You'll be in class, and your pencil will move. Right. I mean, it's something to live for. So yeah, that's a very cool experience. I remember sharing that.
I can imagine how disruptive that would be at a normal school. However, how disruptive was that at Embry-Riddle?
It's disruptive, but it's also a normal thing there. There's airplanes on and off all day. Whether that's just a little Cessna or, a fighter flying over.
Well, it's kind of a busy place. Like, just how many planes does Embry-Riddle have?
Gosh, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's well over 100. And it's right on the Daytona Beach International Airport. And then right next to that, you got the Speedway. So all in the same circle, you have, there's a lot of action going on. So it's quite cool.
Yeah, you were saying that so just for the viewers, we talked the other day and we talked at length, and it was a lot of fun. But you talked about Embry-Riddle being a different place. There's only one reason why everyone goes to Embry-Riddle. Yeah,
it's an outstanding, it's absolutely fabulous aviation school. And I was lucky to be involved and more in the business side of aviation. And there I got to, really dive into, aircraft financing, airline structures, and so forth. And that's kind of where it all began and how I got into aircraft financing to begin with. And I can even go ahead. But
yeah. Oh no. Yes.
Yeah.
You were at school, and you didn't want to go into the pilot side, but you wanted to go into kind of the dark side of aviation, not air traffic control.
The unknown.
We don't mean you guys. Yeah. We don't mean you guys at all. We love you guys with all our hearts, but you wanted to go into the other side, which is like, the keeping planes flying and getting planes flying. So this was a long time ago, right? I mean, how long ago was this?
Not that long ago. Maybe a little less than 2 years. It was quite recently.
2 years.
But it feels like a long time. And
right. So how did you tell us the origin story of how you got started with this company?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, why I'll go back while I was at Embry-Riddle, I became very fascinated, not only with commercial aviation, but with aircraft leasing in general.
Mhm.
Before stepping foot on that campus, I really didn't have the understanding that 50% on average of the global commercial aircraft fleet is lease. And I happened to run into a textbook in the library that kind of enlightened me to that idea. And I kind of ran with it. I read everything I could about the industry, talked to as many people, and then was fortunate enough to get involved in some, higher classes than my freshman, um, you know, yes, counterparts were in. I had the opportunity to sit in on some master's level classes at Embry-Riddle, which was completely fascinating. And huge thank you, to Dr. Raghavan and Dr. Gushva at David B. O'Malley College of Business at Embry-Riddle for allowing me to do so, because that kind of allowed my passion to take flight again, and so forth. So going back to your question,
Yeah.
being involved with Wings Leasing, that's another funny story.
Right.
And it really, it kind of happened over time. It wasn't not a long period of time, but it didn't happen instantly, and it was certainly not my intent. But I'm certainly glad it worked out this way. And
Yeah. The other day we were talking and you said that you found this company and you applied
Mhm.
for an internship was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, 18 months
We
we
get my
said.
notes out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, no. So it's funny story. I stumbled across Wings Leasing on the internet, and there was an email on the website, and I thought, maybe I could call this guy and see if he wants to tell me about what he does, and hopefully I can learn something from him. And so I think it was like a Tuesday morning. It was probably 8 a.m. or so. I think I was on my way to an 8:30 class, and I shot our president and founder Alan Goodnight an email saying that I basically wanted to learn from him, and that if he would be willing and available to take a short call with me. And to my surprise, he got back to me instantly, within 10 minutes. I think I was actually late to my class, because I wanted to respond to him again. But it happened
Right.
so fast, and we took the call, and he told me about what he was doing in Wings Leasing, and all the fascinating stuff with aircraft leasing. And over time, we stayed in touch, and then there was an opportunity for me to get involved with the company as an intern.
Cool. Hey, are you a movie fan?
Probably not as much as you are, but
Well, come on. I mean, it's like a percentage is good, but you're not going to get to
okay,
100.
okay, you can give me that. Yeah, yeah.
So let me pull up a couple movies here that have
Okay,
aviation in them,
okay.
and let me know if you've seen them.
No,
You haven't seen The Terminal?
nope.
It's
I'm
about
not.
a guy who from another country that gets stuck in basically JFK. Let me see. Here's another one.
I think you're gonna get me on
Actually,
these
seen this
ones.
one. How about this one?
No, Dan, I can't. I haven't
That's
seen it.
about people fleeing Europe in a small, it's a dual engine plane. How about this one?
Of course,
I'm gonna say, I would hope so. We had this one on yesterday.
can't say I have.
So there is a flying scene. He flies a carpet. Actually, he follows someone who's flying a carpet over LA. Anyway, so that was our little movie kind of break here. Hold on a second. I've got one more here. This one has flying in it too,
Yeah.
a little bit. All right. So, yeah, tell us about. So you started with the company.
Mhm.
You started as an intern, and then you kind of worked your way up, and it's kind of a startup, right? So it was kind of small,
It
and
is.
then how kind of talks us through like the growth period of where you guys started out like 2 years ago and where you guys are now. And then let me actually jump in here for a second. We've got for all of our viewers watching, if you're watching on YouTube or Riverside or Facebook, I believe even on Facebook, you can comment and then it comes up here. So I can see it in our Studio 1A in St. Louis, Missouri with Right Rudder Marketing. We can see it in our public chat. If you guys have questions about aviation leasing, especially for Max, how do you pronounce your last name?
Fuller.
Fuller. Okay, I had a classmate. It was Fueller, but that was German. So if you have a question for Max or myself, or anything pertaining to aviation, but hopefully more on leasing side, feel free to put a message in the chat and we'll try our best to get to us. But this is our guest, Max Fuller. He works with an aviation leasing company, Wings Leasing. And he's here to talk about kind of his origins with the company and to talk about how leasing is a really great business move. And we'll kind of get to that here in a minute, because that's probably what you're very excited about getting to. I'm excited about getting to it too, don't get me wrong. But you mentioned that commercial planes are basically all leased. Like, airlines don't own their airplanes, which is insane for me, but that's just how it works. Before we get to flight schools and talking about that, talk about kind of how this is a growth industry and how it's grown over the last 3 years, so 2 years since you've been involved.
Yeah, no, aviation, you hit it on the spot there. Aviation is, an extremely fast growing global business. On average, I think it's about 4% a year. Global aviation commercially grows. And with that, pilot demand is growing as well. So with that being said, we need more pilots trained in order to fill that capacity needed in the market. Going back to your question there about, leasing aircraft in flight schools, we find that, aircraft are an extremely expensive asset, and they're a very complex asset. And it's not like real estate where you hope it will appreciate over time. However, in the past few years, many aircraft owners have seen that happen, which, we believe will eventually come back down to the mean. But
right. So let me jump in here, because that's kind of an argument against leasing, right? So if I buy a plane in 2026, or hopefully in 1990 or 1970, hopefully, you can see that plane increase in value. But at the same time, I've got my money invested in the plane, and to get that out, I have to sell the plane, which is kind of not an easy thing. So why would someone at a flight school want to lease a plane versus purchase a plane?
yeah, I mean, the whole idea behind leasing anything, it doesn't matter what asset that is the idea to conserve your capital and preserve liquidity. If you can do that and use your capital to allocate it towards an asset with a better return, then that's would be the most effective decision for you to make. So when it comes to leasing, to your point on the aircraft, the values have appreciated. We've seen a lot of flight schools been tapping into the sale-leaseback market for the assets that they own in order to pull equity out of their fleet that has accumulated over the last 5-6 years, and then they go on to use that equity to expand the facilities, hire more CFIs, do marketing, or go out and buy more airplanes and add student capacity at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were saying the other day that, are you nervous, by the way?
No.
Okay, cool. People get nervous when they come on the podcast from time to time, and that's fine.
I love this.
Yeah,
this is
we
great.
talked the other day about there is a boom in need for pilots, and there's kind of this constant kind of pull as we're trying to not only meet the demand, but also the 15-hour rule or 1,500-hour rule. I wish it was 15 hours. Anyway, meet those two demands.
I don't want no 15 hours.
Right, exactly.
For me.
Hey, I've been flying for 20 hours. No. So meet the 1,500-hour demand. So you have more demand, plus you have kind of fewer planes in flight schools, kind of. And so these flight schools are kind of having to see what capital they have and make capital decisions. But at the same time, with leasing, you don't have to make a capital decision there. You don't have to take the capital that you already have and put into aircraft, or sell your aircraft to increase the size of your fleet. Say I have a flight school and I have 5 planes and I have a line at my door with students, and I see the line at the door for the next 5 years. Walk me through that process of increasing my fleet from, let's say, 5 to 8 or 5 to 10 aircraft. How does that work?
Yeah, that's definitely a tricky situation. a lot of schools may find themselves in realistically. You know, obtaining, if you go and purchase the aircraft, and obtaining debt can be difficult to obtain at, reasonable terms. It makes sense. Uh, and it takes time. It's not a process that just, takes 24 hours and it's over. You got to source the market, you got to source the airplanes, and then go out and raise the capital. So leasing comes in can be very helpful in that sense. It basically allows you almost unlimited access to capital. However, the downside is you just don't have any equity in the airplanes, but you get access to the
Right.
airplanes today. And you have to understand that your business is training students. It's
Mhm.
not managing assets. And to a certain point, it does make sense to, um, own your aircraft. But we find if a school is flying on average 50 hours a month, a much better source or use of their capital is to put it in another asset that's not in a depreciating aircraft. And it would make more sense to lease that asset for the purpose of their operations.
So as far as leasing for flight schools,
Mhm.
do you see this as a trend in the industry?
We do, yeah. No, our growth as a company is double digits year over year. We've grown exponentially. Like I said, started in 2023, and we're well over 100 aircraft to date. And our portfolio is very unique, and we have a large, um, a large amount of our aircraft are newer technology, aircraft ranging from all the different OEMs: Cessna, Piper, Cirrus, Diamond, um, Technum, you name it, like various light sport aircraft.
Yeah,
Um,
so kind of walk me through. I was kind of impressed in the process because I
mhm,
thought, leasing a car, leasing a plane would be the same as leasing a car. Now, leasing a car, you basically find the car and you kind of, I'm kind of ignorant when it comes to that as well. You kind of find the car and then you sign leasing paper. It's I'm not a business owner right now, so these are things that I don't really work with. But if you're a flight school and you wanted to lease a plane, kind of walk us through the
mhm.
steps.
Yeah, our program works very similar to a car lease. Um, it works in a sense that you strictly pay for the operational right to use that asset, um, and you're responsible for the insurance and maintenance, and that's it, really. I mean, we can close deals within 10 days, um, on any aircraft you identify out there in the marketplace. So for us, we try to make it as simple as possible and work as closely as possible, with our customers to help them achieve their school's needs. Because our goal at the end of the day is to make the school more profitable, and if we can successfully do that, um, our mission has been accomplished.
Right. So you said to me something that the other day that was pretty surprising. It was something about the Cessna 172, which is kind of
Mhm.
ubiquitous when it comes to flight schools. And we had a guest on yesterday, and we showed a video from a movie, which we're not going to show here today. But if you want to see the best aerial flying in a movie for a 172, go ahead and rent Fandango. It has Kevin Costner in it. We don't stand behind what they did, but at the same time, it was a closed set and it was kind of fun. Anyway, the 172, if you order a 172 today, how long would it take to get it?
About 2 years. I'm not the OEM, so I'm not going to speak for Cessna at all. It's the the aircraft is very popular, as we all know of the industry, and the demand is very high. Mm, And not to mention the significant cost. Today, a 172 is between six and $700,000 new, and that's a huge capital barrier that schools have to face, and particularly when they're not just ordering one. If you're talking two, three, four, five of these airplanes, that's millions of dollars. Um, and we can also make the point that when you purchase new aircraft, you have pre-delivery payments, PDP, and you often have to put up a percentage of the aircraft before it's even delivered. Um, which can be a lot of cash that a school might have to shell out. So
Yeah.
that's an area where we can definitely help, offering leasing options with zero money down, and enabling a school to access the airplanes to grow the capacity in a timely
Well,
manner.
a lot of flight schools start out as a CFI that has a plane, and then they want to pay for their plane, or maybe they love to CFI or do CFIing, if that's
Sure.
a word. I'm just going to make it a
You're
word.
making a word. You're making a word.
It's a word now, CFIing. Hold on a second. Let me see. I've got the book around here somewhere. Misplaced my p-hat. Here it is. It's probably in here somewhere.
There you go.
Or if it's not in here, it'll be in the, here it is.
What other books you got behind your desk there? I'm sure you got a lot. There you go.
Do you really want to know? Hold on a second. I don't have any more books, but I have some cards. Yes. Do you watch YouTube?
Of course.
Okay.
He doesn't watch YouTube.
Do you see the commercials for these on YouTube?
I haven't actually, but I'm sure after,
That's
you talk about this, I will. This afternoon,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll talk about.
So I'm working on my private pilot certificate, and the problem with me right now is I'm all but exams, and I don't test well, and I hope the FAA is not listening to this, although they probably are. So I bought these because there's a pilot that says, I made flashcards. I spent the last several years of my life working on these cards, and they came up with like 300 of them. Not like the movie, but anyway, 300 of them. So all these are different topics. Like, for instance, this one is weather. And I know we don't market for these, and I'll probably get in trouble for talking about them here, but basically everything that's on the exam is right here. So these are aviation cards right here with like real questions or questions on topics that'll help you learn more for your exam. So,
Dan, maybe they need to be a sponsor on the podcast.
I think they do. So let me see. If the Airplane Academy is listening, we'd love to have you on as a guest. Or if you want to buy us lunch, we would probably eat lunch with you on the podcast. Of course, you'd be in Texas and we're in St. Louis, unless you're here in town. Or we might see you in Miami at Aero Summit. So
that's right. We'll be there too. So
you'll be there at Aero Summit?
We will. We'll be at Aero Summit here on the 20th.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so we leave Monday because me and the production team are doing a tour of several different flight schools in Florida. And then on our second week, we'll end up, actually, I think it's the end of the second week, we'll end up at Aero Summit.
Oh, fun. Yeah, it'll be a good time.
So these clothes aren't going to work for Florida.
No, it's definitely warming up down here. It's, I don't know, it's probably 90, low 90s right now. Maybe.
Where are you based?
Sure. I'm in Fort Myers, Florida. So,
okay.
Not too far from where Aero Summit's going to take place, but just on the other side.
We'll have to catch up because actually we're in the process of acquiring an airborne vehicle. And so I can't say a lot about it, but
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Convective currents. What causes convective currents?
Next question.
Okay. Yeah. All right. How about regulations?
Well, aviation is full of regulation.
Formation flight. What are the rules concerning operating near other aircraft, i.e. formation flying?
You're the pilot, not me.
Let me see. No person. They basically have to all be kind of in the same thing that they're doing. And that's basically the shorter version of it. There's a longer version on here. Yeah, if we had a zoom lens on it or a macro or something else in the studio, we could work on that.
Can't see it.
Go back to movies here just for a second. This is excellent. This is about the Battle of Britain. So it's called Dark Blue World. It's about the pilots of the Battle of Britain. You got to watch it. It's amazing. Imagine pilots your age and a little bit younger fighting against the Germans and trying to keep them on the other side of the, river, pond, Gulf, whatever that is in Europe. Oh, yeah. Do you have anything else to add on leasing? Is there something else you want to talk about when it comes to leasing?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is maybe I hit it home a little bit earlier too. It's, our job is to help schools, grow efficiently in the correct way. Schools don't want to overload themselves with debt on their balance sheet. So leasing gives that ability to take on additional assets and therefore adding student capacity, and keeping that asset, off their balance sheet is a debt obligation. But yeah, no, aviation it's a fascinating industry because it's very dynamic. It's capital intensive. It's always changing. I mean, you got Mosaic coming into effect on July 24th this year. I mean, there's always something new, and I think it'll always stay that way. And I think that's why, it draws a lot of, people to the field. And part of my thing is I think it's cool to, share aviation in a way that's also not just being a pilot, because that's what everyone thinks about. People ask when I say I'm pursuing aviation, or I'm, doing this, like, oh, you fly airplanes. And no, I have to, usually I let them go for a little bit, but then I have to tell them, no, I'm actually not a pilot. And that I work more on the financing side. And, we see airplanes as an asset, and you can almost think of it like portable real estate. It's an asset which can be transferred to anywhere in the world, hypothetically, which I find very cool. And there's so much complexity to the aftermarket, to the parts, to the regulations, to law, to finance, to whatever you name it, to just flying an airplane. There's so much that goes behind the scenes, and sometimes I think that gets unnoticed, but at the same time, it's
I'm going to jump in here and ask a question for our audience. If you guys are listening, you're listening to the Aviation Business Podcast. My name is Dan Gill. I'm now Tim Jedrick, sitting in for him. Tim's out of the office today, so we're just trying to have fun with his little studio while he's gone. We're Right Rudder Marketing. We're a marketing firm based in St. Louis, Missouri, in the United States. We're helping pilots make their dreams come through by making flight schools more profitable and more accessible to us all. So that's kind of what we're doing. I'm going to open up to questions. We've got a couple people watching. So if you guys want to ask a question, whether on YouTube or Riverside, feel free to jump in the chat. I got a question for you. I started out on the podcast and I had a wing in front of us, and I haven't really explained that. Let me get this out.
Yeah, bring it back.
So I was flying my glider last. Actually, wait a second. It's hard to really see what this is without seeing the whole picture. So that's not good. I don't know if I can focus on it.
No, I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah. So my dad and I fly remote control gliders. This was kind of how I got started in aviation. And so we have this club in St. Louis. I'm going to give them a shout out, the Mississippi Valley Soaring Association. There we go. Hopefully Tim doesn't get upset. Too late. We're live. Anyway, so we were flying this plane, and he bought this plane from another club member. And then as you can see right there, there's a break in it. Well, he didn't fix the spar, but he fixed the skin, meaning that we could probably only use it on a high start, or I left the high start in the car. I forgot to bring it in the studio today. But you basically use a slingshot to shoot it up in the air. And so we fixed it so it worked for the slingshot, but not like a winch. And so when I launched it on the winch, it ripped off the tip. But this was like 2023. So last fall, I was flying the plane and I got distracted and I didn't check the elevator, and the elevator wasn't connected. And so what happened was the plane went up and it came down and it broke the center panel. And it actually broke the spar as well. So we ended up getting a replacement for it, which wasn't cheap. But at the same time, if you know someone or someone's watching that's good with carbon fiber, send me an email, dan@rightruddermarketing.com. Yeah. Or if you want to buy a used wing that's not flight worthy at this time, you can go ahead and send me an email. Anyways, that was that.
Yeah, so I know.
You must have stories from Embry-Riddle, like your friends go up and they're flying. And I think there was a YouTube video about two Embry-Riddle students, and they were chasing each other. And one guy calls tower and says, "Hey, I got a bogey." And it's like, come on, guys, professional flying time. So do you have any stories of friends flying with
Well,
Embry-Riddle?
speaking to the RC aircraft right there, that's a very common occurrence on the campus there. You see
Really?
some pretty, I mean, pretty awesome models, and I mean,
Right.
these jets, they're loud, they're big, just like that one. At night, that's the middle of the campus is pretty open, so there's a lot of room to fly those type of things, and it kind of brought back some memories of that stuff pretty vividly. That's cool.
Yeah, we have an aviation school here. It's kind of an
Hmm.
aviation school, but not many people know about it. It's St. Louis University. St. Louis University started out as a what was it? It was a medical. So someone's going to quote me on this, and if I'm wrong on this, please comment on YouTube or comment on Facebook, and we'll know what's right then. But St. Louis University started out as either an engineering school for aviation or it started out as a medical school for pilots, something directly working with aviation. I believe Curtis Wright was instrumental with that as well. And so they actually have a very large aviation program. They have their own building here in which they do aerospace engineering. And then they also have a flight school here in town. It's not uncommon, like you were saying before, to see students out in the quad playing with, you know, playing with planes like this and building them and working with them and trying to find out how better stuff flies. It's kind of cool to see
So,
on campus. But I
yeah,
can't
no,
imagine I mean, this is like this big compared to Embry-Riddle. So
right. And the thing, you talk about the university, and we've seen, so much growth in the university space for flight training programs. I mean, there are such many, programs out there that a lot of these schools, they partner with what were one time, smaller flight schools, and they become larger and larger through university, programs and the relationships they have between them. Uh, so that's another growth for any pilot looking to, or anyone looking to become a pilot and obtain their ratings. There's just so many options out there, whether you go the 141 route or Part 61. At the end of the day, it'll always be a growing market. I think commercial aviation, and that's what's exciting for me, and for other young peers of mine. That's what we kind of see. We see the trends and how we'll continue to move forward in an exciting way. And 10 years from now, we may not be talking about airplanes, we might be talking about rockets,
right.
and going places that we probably didn't think we were going to go. So that's the exciting part at the end of the day. It's always changing, and it never stays the same. And therefore, you don't get bored in this industry. It's impossible. And once you're in the industry, it's very hard to get out. Aviation will suck you in, and you'll never get released. You're done after that.
Right. Well, that's probably a good place to leave it for today. Max, thanks for being a guest for us today. Really appreciate it. Nice closing words. It's exciting. It's constantly changing. And according to Max, we may be flying rockets someday. So
You never know.
hey, thanks very much for being on with us. I really appreciate it. We're going to if you could give a quick shout out to your company real quick. Yeah. What do you guys do again?
Yeah. So we are one of the largest aircraft leasing companies specific to the flight training industry. And for any needs you might have regarding fleet expansions, sourcing capital, we're here to help. Just email, call, and contact myself or Alan, and we'll be sure to help you out and support your growth. And work with you on.
And if you're at Aero Summit, go ahead and look up our booth.
Come see us.
But I'll say go ahead and see Wings Leasing and go ahead and say hi to Max firsthand.
Absolutely. I think we're booth 23. Don't quote me on that, but I think
I don't know where we are. I should really check it. That'd be good to know before we get there. That's okay.
You can email them and they'll tell you.
I'll just start yelling, Max.
I'll help you out.
So let me close this out by giving a little shout out to our company. We're Right Rotor Marketing. We're an aviation school marketing company based here in St. Louis, Missouri. We help flight schools across the country become more profitable by using digital marketing by using digital marketing to help do that marketing part. Flight schools are kind of and you kind of touched this for a second ago, a couple minutes ago, where flight school owners have to do so many things, as well as, business owners in general. They have to do so many things. And if they don't ask someone to do it, it's not getting done. And so a lot of times with businesses, we end up working inside of our business and not outside of our business. So that's where we come in with Bright Rudder Marketing. We're aviation enthusiasts. We're pilots that help flight schools market themselves better. Anyway, that's a little spiel for us. Any closing words, Max?
And Dan, I just want to thank you once again. It's been an honor to represent myself, but more importantly, our company, Wings Leasing, on the podcast. And I'm excited to see you here at Aero Summit here in a few weeks in Miami. And I'm excited to see, other schools and operators out there. And feel free to come by, chat, and we look forward to seeing you there. But thanks again for the opportunity. It's been a real privilege.
You're welcome. Hey, one more thing. I've got some homework for you to work on. Are you good with this?
Absolutely.
So this is one of my favorite. I'm sorry.
Send it my way.
Okay. This is one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't have the Blu-ray right now. My CFI, who's since passed on, he's not dead, and he just flies commercial now. He still has my copy. So Adam, if you're out there somewhere, I want my movie back. Anyway, so I just have the laser disc. Have you seen The Right Stuff?
I haven't. I don't have a way to play that.
No. Well, this is part one.
You're gonna have to send the whole package to me.
You can find it somewhere. I'm not gonna take this with me, man. We've got like a lot of camera stuff to bring along with us, so it's not going to fit. So anyway, it's about the test pilot program in the 1950s, 1960s, and kind of how those same people parlayed into flying the first space missions as part of the Mercury program. Anyway, a little shout out there.
There you go. Second sponsor.
It's 3 hours long. If you want to tell your girlfriend it's a rom-com, that's fine with me. All right. Thanks for coming on, Max. And we will see you in Miami.
We will. Thanks again, Dan. It's been a pleasure.
Right,
thank you very much. All right.
See you.
Bye-bye.